Hi all, welcome to Salesforce in 5 minutes. In this video, we are going to learn what are access specifier, why do we use it, and what exactly are access specifier inside Apex or any other language. But before getting started, if you really like my videos, I request you to please subscribe and like this video. So let's jump to it. Now I'm not going to talk about the textual terms, what exactly are, but I'm going to explain it with more of a real-time example. So for an example, so what exactly an access specifier? There are four access specifier, but I'm going to define only three of them. That is public, private. There is one more called as protected, but it is not much used in Salesforce, and another is nothing but the global. Okay, so these are few of the access specifier that are available inside the Salesforce itself. So let's go through each of them one by one. Let's understand what this private access specifier is. Okay, access specifier, for an example, let's consider this is your house. The whole thing, it's your house. Outside this house you have a private terrace. Okay, I'm going to name it as private terrace, right? And this is your complete home. I'm going to name it as H, and you are over here. Okay, I'm going to name it as U. Okay, so what exactly is going to happen is that if you want to access your private terrace, you can easily do it. Okay, you stay at 15th floor, let's say, right? You stay at the 15th floor, and let's say you have someone person who stays at the 4th floor. Okay, will he be able to access your private terrace? Answer is no, right? He is not viable to go ahead and access your private terrace unless and until you give them the access. But if he tries to access without your consent, if he tries to access this private terrace, will he be able to? Answer is no, right? This private terrace only means to you. Okay, no other person outside your house will be able to access this private terrace. That's what the same is with the private variables in or private functions inside the Apex. So let's consider private. Let's understand this. Okay, so let's consider this home. The whole house, this whole house can be considered as a class. Okay, class 15th floor home. I'm going to name it as 15th floor home. This is the complete class itself. Okay, outside this, okay, we have a variable named as gallery, or we can say private terrace. Okay, so I have a variable named as private terrace, and you are nothing you are nothing but a person, right? And in Salesforce, uh, the the small instance of your Apex class is nothing but the object itself, so you are acting as an object itself. So 15th floor home. Okay, I'm usually you will write it inside the anonymous window. Okay, so that's why I'm going to include it within this function basis. So if you want to access the terrace, what you do is you create a 15th floor home. Okay, person owner of home, or you, equals to new. Okay, and then you go ahead and you can access the private terrace, right? You can access your private terrace. You can easily do it. Okay, you can access your private terrace. That's not an issue. This is inside the anonymous window. Okay, that's why I'm not, but still I'm going to anony window. Okay, so what you did was you created an object of your object of your class, and your object will be able to access the private terrace. But let's say you have person who stays at the fourth floor, as I already said, fourth floor. Okay, and they are trying to go ahead and try to access the your terrace. Okay, they are trying to access your terrace. They won't be able to access your terrace. The reason is because this terrace is private to you. The same way, if let's say we have two Apex classes, right? So this is the one Apex class, and this is one Apex class. So inside inside the fourth floor Apex class is trying to access the variable of another Apex class, but it is private. So as it's private, it's only applicable to this particular Apex class. It cannot be accessed outside that, but outside this Apex class it can be only accessed inside this Apex class. But if on the other hand, if another Apex class tries to access it, it will just throw an error saying that the variable is not visible or something like that. So if you're trying to access this private terrace, which is actually of the 15th floor, you won't be able to, because it's private, right? It won't be visible to you. So that's what the private variables are. Private variables and functions can be only accessed within the same class itself. They cannot be accessed outside that particular class. So this is what the private is. Now let's understand what exactly the global is, or let's understand what exactly public is. So now let's consider this as your complete let's say you stay inside a particular place. Okay, you can say it as a colony. Okay, so I'm going to name it as colony, and you guys have a garden. Okay, I'm going to name it as garden. And there are multiple homes inside this colony, right? Now all of these homes, okay, will be able to access this particular garden, right? All these homes will be able to access this particular garden because this garden is public to this particular colony. Okay, but the person staying outside this colony won't be able to access this garden. In the same way, if you are creating a variable or a function as a public, let's name it as public. Okay, let's keep it instead, copy paste it, name it as public, and I've created this variable as public. Okay, now uh, let's consider this as colony 1. Okay, and there is garden inside this colony. Okay, and or like we can say it house number 1, and there is house number 2. Okay, so if this particular garden, which is a variable over here, okay, it can be accessed by, okay, first of all let me first of all quickly do it. Okay, so now this particular garden, okay, this garden that we have created, that can be accessed by this class, as well as the same garden can be accessed by this class as well, because it is within the same colony. The same way, if you have a variable in class number in this class, okay, it can be accessed by this class as well, unless and until it is within the same Salesforce org. Okay, the Salesforce org, your Salesforce org can be considered as a colony, and each of this apex class can be considered as houses, and the variables of this can be considered as gardens, and any of this apex class will be able to access any of this garden because within they are within the same colony. Okay, so that's what the public is. Any class will be able to access any variable unless and until you are within the same Salesforce org. Now, last and the final one is nothing but the global. We are not going to learn more about protected because it's not much used in Salesforce. Now, let's learn about global. So, let's say we all know seven wonders of the world, like for an example, Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal is accessible throughout the world. Any person of any race or any place can go to Taj Mahal and can access it and can see it and view it and do whatever it wants to Taj Mahal at the Taj Mahal, right? They can click pictures, they can visit there and do whatever they want to the Taj Mahal or at the Taj Mahal. Why? This is because this Taj Mahal can be considered as a global variable. Okay, and this in this world can there let's consider countries, or we can have, yeah, we can say countries as Salesforce org. Like for an example, USA is a Salesforce org 1. Okay, India is a Salesforce org 2. Okay, there are two Salesforce org. Now these two Salesforce org will be able to access the Taj Mahal as well. Okay, which is a global variable. Okay, so basically if I have created a variable inside one Salesforce org with the access specifier as global, if you provide this access specifier, any another Salesforce org, let's say I have a Salesforce org, I've created an apex class with the global, let's say for an example I've created one. Okay, let's say I've created a class, my class, and then what I did was I created a variable, okay, with the global and access specifier, global string Taj Mahal. Okay, I've created a variable. Now this is within my own Salesforce org. Now, if you want, you can access this particular variable from your own Salesforce org. Even though your Salesforce org is different, you can still access these variables from your Salesforce org. And that is the only reason why while doing integration we provide those functions and variables as global. You do not know about it, I understand that, but global is used when you want to access the variables which are within the different orgs as well. So that's what the global is. So these are three main access specifier you should understand before getting started. So now let's see how we can access it. So for an example, I have this string name Salesforce in 5 minutes variable. Now if I want to access it, I need to go to the anonymous window. I need to create an object, as we already know, in order to access variables. Okay, my new dot name. Now what's gonna happen is, let's see, system dot debug name is plus. Okay, let's do it, execute it. It's gonna give me error, variable is not visible, apex dot first name. Why am I getting this error? The reason is because if you do not provide any access specifier, I have not provided any access specifier, this means that particular variable is private. Okay, if I give it private, or if I do not give it any access specifier, by default the access specifier is private. Now, if you think about it, this is one Apex class, and this the anonymous window itself is a main method. Actually, I have told it as a main method, but it is a main method with an Apex class. But in simple terms, this is one Apex class, and this anonymous window is a different Apex class. Okay, and already we have learned, if a variable is private, this variable is private to this particular Apex class. So this can be only accessed within the same Apex class itself. It cannot be accessed inside the another Apex class, and that's why it's giving me an error. Now in order to do that, I need to do it public. Now as soon as I do it public, this variable is accessible within this Salesforce. Okay, let's execute it. Now you can see name is Salesforce in 5 minutes. So I'm able to access the variable which was private, but I made it public, hence I am able to access that particular variable. So this is what the real-time use of access modifier in Apex is. If you found this video helpful, I request you to please subscribe to the channel.